This is a short little video about the fall time, and for those of us working with plants, just some ideas about cleaning up the garden and putting the garden to bed. As you can see behind me, this is one of my gardens. There's lots of sunflower stalks, there's a pile of leaves. I had pulled the cottonwood buds off of those. There's there's leaves, there's weeds. Those tall ones in the back are, this one right here is lamb's quarters. And that's kind of what I wanted to just chat about today mostly is garden care in the fall. I've been wanting to put my garden to bed and realizing as I look at my garden, which is one of the main things that I do to learn how ecosystems work, is to just watch and take time and move very slowly. And so as I was looking at my garden thinking about how to put it to bed, I saw all these birds on the seed stalks. So on the sunflower stalks and on the lamb's quarter stalks, those are the main seed sources that I have in my garden right now. I let lamb's quarters get 6 or 7 or 8 feet tall, and I let them go to seed, and I'm harvesting some of the seeds to share with people who want to grow this beautiful purple lamb's quarter, which is a wild North American quinoa relative. The seeds are an excellent source of protein. I don't eat the seeds much, but the birds really love the seeds. So I did pull some lamb's quarters, and my intention is to get them to somebody who has chickens or birds, to scatter some around the garden. But the ones that I leave standing for the winter are going to feed the birds all winter long. They're also going to drop off and come up again in my garden. I really like to have other weeds in my garden as well. Right now I'm wishing that I had left the pigweed to stand tall. I really want to get some marshmallow, or not marshmallow, the mallow, the cheese in my garden. I want to get some of those. Chickweed, Asiatic dayflower. There's not many dandelion in my garden yet. I wish there were more. What are some of my other garden? Purslane, there wasn't much for purslane. I wish there were more. The purslane seeds drop off pretty easily though, so they wouldn't be feeding the birds. And you know, I have this interesting relationship with weeds, and so you know, anytime there's a thistle in my yard, I'll let it blossom and bloom because it's a really important plant. I think it reminds us to slow down. It reminds us to pay attention. It reminds us about kind of the sweetness that comes with bitterness and pain sometimes. So I let my thistle get big and flower, and then it started producing seeds, and my landlady was like, "So, are you gonna do something with that thistle?" So I cut off the seed heads and burned the seeds. But I really, thistle seeds are amazing food for birds as well. Yeah, so what I am going to do is I'm gonna put a lot more leaves in the garden. I've started throwing my raw compost in the garden because why not? I'm gonna put leaves all over the garden and turn them in a little bit. Try not to disrupt the lamb's quarters much. I am going to spread some ash in the garden, and if I can get my life together, I'm gonna make some biochar to put in the garden, and that'll probably happen this winter because I'm burning wood this winter. So leave the seeds up for the birds, just as we are encouraged to leave the leaves on our lawn. And if you don't want leaves on your lawn, throw them on the garden. If you don't want them blowing away, you can put hay on top of the leaves. You can water the leaves to kind of like make them dense so that they don't blow away. And then in the springtime, after all of the seeds have either been eaten by birds or dropped off of the beautiful sunflowers and lamb's quarters and such, then it's time to turn the leaves in and to turn in the weed stalks and to really clear the garden. So my recommendation is to not clear the garden of weeds and stalks until spring, because all of that encourages more life in your garden.